I gave my daughter a grandfather clock for her 40th birthday, and she looked at it like I'd handed her a dead rat. She called it ugly old junk and said it didn't match her aesthetic. 3 weeks later, I sold it at Christie's for $92,000. When she found out, she lost her mind completely. But that was only the beginning of what happened between us. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The wrapping came off slow. I'd spent 2 hours getting that clock ready. Polished the brass, cleaned the glass, even wore white gloves, moving it into position in my living room before they arrived. My daughter stood there, arms crossed, staring at it like it had insulted her personally. "Dad, what is this?" My living room in Brookline has seen a lot of things in 40 years. Never felt this cold before. It's a Willard tall case clock. I kept my voice steady. Made in 1794 by Simon Willard himself, one of the finest clockmakers in American history. She wrinkled her nose. "It's huge, and dark, and old." Her husband stepped closer, squinting at it. "Babe, it's antique, probably worth something." "Worth taking up half my living room?" She laughed. "But not the good kind. Dad, you know our house is modern, clean lines. This thing looks like it belongs in a haunted mansion. I've been restoring antique clocks for 45 years. Retired now, but my hands still know the feel of 18th century brass, the weight of hand-blown pendulum bobs, the smell of aged wood and old oil. This clock was special. I'd found it in an estate sale in Vermont in 1987, recognized it immediately, paid $3,200 when the family thought it was just Grandma's old furniture. My son-in-law tried to smooth things over. "It's the thought that counts, right?" "The thought of what?" My daughter pulled out her phone, already losing interest. "Sticking that monstrosity in our house? Where would it even go?" "It doesn't have to go anywhere specific." I heard my own voice getting tight. "It's a piece of history. American craftsmanship from before we were even a proper country." She was texting someone. "Cool, Dad. Maybe donate it somewhere? A museum might want it. Get a tax write-off." Donate it. My granddaughter ran through the room, 8 years old, chasing the dog. My grandson sat in the corner with his tablet, headphones on, oblivious. Birthday party for their mother, and neither child had looked at me once since arriving. Dinner sat on the table. I'd made her favorite. Roast chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, that green bean casserole she loved as a kid. The food was getting cold. "We should eat," my son-in-law said. "Smells great, Dad." He called me Dad. I never asked him to. Never felt right. My daughter finally put her phone away. "Yeah, let's eat. I'm starving." She walked past the clock without another glance. "Oh, and Dad? Maybe next year just do a gift card. Easier for everyone." I stood there, hand on the clock's case. Simon Willard had built this with his own hands 230 years ago. The movement still worked perfectly. The painted dial showed a harbor scene. Ships with American flags. Revolutionary era. The wood was mahogany. Hand-carved. Original finish. Ugly old junk. I ate dinner in silence. They talked about their renovation plans, the new car they wanted, their vacation to Cabo. My son-in-law mentioned something about crypto investments that had gone sideways. My daughter complained about her yoga instructor. No one mentioned the clock again. After they left, I stood in front of it. The pendulum swung steady. Tick, tick, tick. 230 years of keeping time, and my own daughter couldn't see its worth. I pulled out my phone. Scrolled to a contact I hadn't used in years. Margaret Chen, Christie's, New York. She answered on the second ring. "Walter Brennan, it's been too long." "Margaret, I have something for your Americana auction, something special." 3 weeks later, I drove to New York. The clock sat in the back of my van, secured with moving blankets, strapped down properly. More care than my daughter had shown it. Christie's examination room smelled like climate control and money. Margaret ran her hands over the case, used her loupe on the movement, checked the signature on the dial. Simon Willard, Roxbury. Original movement, original case, original dial. She looked up at me. "Walter, this is exceptional." "I know. Why are you selling?" "Long story." She didn't push. Professionals don't. She prepared the estimate instead. Conservative auction estimate, $75,000 to $95,000. Strong market for American tall case clocks right now. Collectors love Willard. I signed the consignment papers without hesitation. The auction was February 15th. I didn't attend. Couldn't. I watched the live stream from my study instead, whiskey in hand. Lot 47. Simon Willard tall case clock, circa 1794. Opening bid $60,000. Paddles rose. Phone bids came in. The auctioneer's voice stayed calm, professional. 70,000. We have 75. 80,000 on the phone. I watched numbers climb. 88,000. 90. Do I hear 92? Paddle up. Back of the room. 92,000. Fair warning. The hammer fell. Sold. $92,000. I finished my whiskey. Poured another. My phone buzzed. Text from my daughter. Hey Dad, Kyle and I were talking. We need to discuss something important. Can we come over Sunday? I stared at the message. She never wanted to come over unless she needed something. I typed back. Sure. Sunday arrived. Gray, February afternoon. They showed up an hour late, which was early for them. My daughter walked in, looked around. Where's the clock? What clock? The big ugly one. From my birthday. I sold it. Silence. Her face did something interesting. Confusion, then calculation, then outrage, all in about 3 seconds. You sold my birthday present? You didn't want it. Called it ugly old junk. Suggested I donate it. My son-in-law stepped forward. What did you get for it? $92,000. More silence, heavier this time. My daughter sat down hard on my couch. $92,000? After commission, I netted about $78,000. I sipped my coffee. Not bad for ugly old junk. Her voice went high. That was my gift. You can't just sell someone's gift. You rejected it. Said it didn't match your aesthetic. Those were your exact words. My son-in-law's face had gone red. You should have told us it was worth that much. Would that have changed how you treated it? Silence answered that question. We need to talk about this rationally. My daughter used her professional voice, the one she uses when she wants something. That money should come to me. It was my property. It was never your property. You refused to accept it. I didn't refuse. I just said, you said donate it. Get a tax write-off. I remember precisely. My son-in-law crossed his arms. We could get a lawyer. Please do. I smiled. I've been dealing with estate sales and provenance disputes for 45 years. I know exactly how this works legally. My daughter's eyes narrowed, changed tactics. Dad, are you feeling okay? Making big decisions like this without consulting family seems impulsive. The room temperature dropped. Impulsive? She kept going, voice soft now, concerned. You're 66, living alone, selling valuable things on a whim. Maybe we should talk about your financial situation. Make sure you're protected. I set down my coffee cup carefully. Let me make sure I understand. You rejected a gift I spent 35 years collecting. You called it ugly. You suggested I throw it away. I sold it instead. And now you're questioning my mental competence? We're just worried about you. No. You're worried about money. My money. The difference matters. They left angry. Didn't even finish their coffee. That night, I sat in my study, surrounded by my collection. 47 antique clocks lined the walls. Bracket clocks, carriage clocks, mantel clocks, 2 more tall case pieces. Total value, conservatively, around $400,000. Maybe more to the right buyers. My daughter had walked past these clocks for 3 years, without ever asking about them. They were just background noise to her, old things taking up space. She and her husband had moved in after his business failed in 2022. Temporary arrangement, they said, just until they got back on their feet. I'd given them the entire second floor, 2 bedrooms, bathroom, sitting room, paid all utilities, bought groceries, helped with their kids' school expenses. 3 years of temporary. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Mr. Brennan, this is attorney David Marsh. I represent your daughter. We need to discuss the unauthorized sale of her property and some concerns about your decision-making capacity. Please call me back at your earliest convenience." I stared at the phone. She'd actually hired a lawyer. My own daughter. I called my attorney the next morning, Gerald Fitzgerald. We'd known each other 30 years. They're claiming what? Mental incompetence. Impulsive financial decisions. They want to discuss my decision-making capacity. Gerald laughed, then stopped. "Wait, you're serious?" "Dead serious." "You want to fight this?" "I want to end it. Permanently." "What does that mean?" "It means I need to protect my assets and my autonomy. Can you come over?" He arrived that afternoon. I showed him everything. 3 years of documentation. Every grocery receipt, every utility bill. Every time I paid for their car repair or their kids' activities or their cell phone bills, I kept records like I kept provenance files. Detailed, thorough. Gerald whistled low. "How much total?" "About $112,000. Give or take." "And they're calling you mentally incompetent?" "Apparently generosity is a symptom of cognitive decline." He started making notes. "We can document all of this as loans if you want. Establish that you've been supporting them, not that they've been taking advantage of a confused old man. I don't want the money back. I want them out." Gerald looked up. "Out of your house?" "Out of my life if necessary, but definitely out of my house." He nodded slowly. "That's doable. Non-paying guests have limited rights in Massachusetts, but it'll get ugly. It's already ugly. They're questioning my sanity for selling a clock." We spent 3 hours planning. Documentation, legal strategy, contingencies. By the time he left, I had a roadmap. That night, I installed security cameras. Small ones. Discreet. Living room, study, hallway. My house, my right. The footage from the first week was educational. My son-in-law spent hours in my study when I was out, opening drawers, examining clocks, taking photos of everything. He moved the Tiffany bracket clock on my mantle, checked the back for markings. He did the same with every piece he could reach. My daughter joined him once. I watched them on my laptop, recorded video from that afternoon. "These have to be worth something," she said. "Look at this one. It's signed." Her husband squinted at the label. "Howard and Company, Boston, 1,870. Google it." He typed on his phone. His eyes went wide. Similar ones sold for $15,000 to $25,000. My daughter looked around the room, looked at every clock, started counting on her fingers. "Oh my God." She breathed the words. "Kyle, there's like 50 clocks in here. More in his bedroom. And the basement. We need to know what all this is worth." She pulled out her phone, started photographing everything. Every clock, every angle. Professional shots, like she was preparing a catalog. "When he dies," she said, "all of this comes to us. We need an inventory." My blood went cold. Not angry. Cold. When he dies, not if something happens to him. Not when he passes eventually. When he dies, like she was waiting. I closed the laptop, sat in the dark, thought about my daughter at age 6, helping me polish brass on a Sunday morning. Thought about her at 16, rolling her eyes when I tried to explain escapement mechanisms. Thought about her at 25, borrowing money for a down payment on an apartment she couldn't afford. Where did I lose her? Maybe I never had her. Maybe she'd always been this and I just couldn't see it. 2 weeks passed. I gathered evidence. They gathered appraisals. My son-in-law contacted 3 auction houses, pretending to inquire about selling pieces on my behalf. One of them called me directly to verify. "Mr. Brennan, your son-in-law, Kyle, reached out about consigning several items from your collection. I wanted to confirm you authorized this." "I did not." "I see. Well, we won't proceed without your direct consent." "I appreciate that." Another week. More footage. My daughter on the phone with someone. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw her pacing, gesturing, frustrated. Then she looked directly at my study door, lowered her voice, cupped her hand around the phone. The lawyer called again. David Marsh, aggressive, condescending. "Mr. Brennan, my clients are concerned about your well-being. Your recent behavior suggests possible cognitive decline. My recent behavior? Selling a valuable family heirloom impulsively, living alone at your age, making financial decisions without family input. I'm 66, not 96. My decisions are my own. We'd like to arrange a psychiatric evaluation, purely precautionary. And if I refuse, then we may have to pursue guardianship through the courts. I let that sit. Guardianship. My own daughter wanted legal control over me, over my money, over my life. Do what you have to do, I said. I'll see you in court. The competency evaluation was scheduled for March 3rd. Dr. Patricia Okonkwo, court-appointed psychiatrist. Her office was in Cambridge, clinical but warm. Mr. Brennan, I'm going to ask you some questions. Just answer honestly. 3 hours of tests, memory exercises, logic puzzles, questions about current events, personal history, financial understanding. She asked about the clock sale. I explained. She asked about my collection. I explained that too. She asked about my daughter. She's been living in my house for 3 years without paying rent. I've supported her family completely. When she rejected a gift, I sold it. She responded by questioning my sanity. Dr. Okonkwo made notes. You sound angry. I'm disappointed. There's a difference. What's the difference? Anger is hot. Disappointment is cold. I've had time to cool down. She nodded, kept writing. 1 week later, her report arrived at Gerald's office. We read it together. Mr. Walter Brennan presents as fully competent, cognitively intact, and capable of managing his personal and financial affairs. No evidence of dementia, cognitive decline, or impaired judgment. His decision to sell a rejected gift demonstrates logical thinking rather than impulsivity. Gerald grinned. Clean bill of mental health. Forward that to their lawyer. We did. The guardianship petition was withdrawn 2 days later, but they weren't done. March 15th. My daughter knocked on my study door while I was cataloging. Dad, can we talk? Her voice was different, softer. She carried 2 cups of coffee, handed me one. I'm sorry, she said, for everything. I waited. The lawyer was Kyle's idea. I shouldn't have gone along with it. I was scared. Scared of what? She sat down uninvited. Scared of losing you, of not being provided for, of I don't know, everything. Provided for? You know what I mean. I don't think I do. She looked around my study. All these clocks, all this value just sitting here. And you're 66, Dad. Anything could happen. So you were planning for my death? That's not. She stopped. Swallowed. Planning is the wrong word. What's the right word? She didn't have one. The coffee sat untouched, getting cold. I've supported you for 3 years. I paid for everything. I gave you a clock worth $92,000 and you called it junk. Now you're telling me you were scared of losing what I might leave you when I die. It sounds terrible when you say it like that. It sounds terrible because it is terrible. Tears started. Real ones, maybe. Hard to tell with her anymore. I don't know what you want me to say, Dad. I don't want you to say anything. I want you to leave. Her head snapped up. Leave? I've contacted Gerald about your living situation. You're not tenants. You're guests who've overstayed. You have 30 days to find alternative housing. Dad, we don't have anywhere to go. You have 30 days to figure that out. She stood, anger replacing tears. You can't do this. I can, and I am. We'll fight it. You'll lose. Again. This is my home. No. I stood too, faced her directly. This is my home. You've been borrowing it. Now I'm taking it back. She left. Slammed every door between my study and the upstairs. I heard her crying, heard my son-in-law's voice trying to calm her, heard my grandchildren asking what was wrong. What was wrong? Where would I even start? The next month was war. They hired a different lawyer, filed a motion claiming I was retaliating against them for expressing concern about my health. The judge dismissed it. They contacted Adult Protective Services, claimed I was self-neglecting, living in unsafe conditions. The social worker visited, saw my immaculate home, my full refrigerator, my detailed records. Case closed. They tried to turn my grandchildren against me. My 8-year-old granddaughter handed me a letter she'd clearly been coached to write. Please don't kick us out, Grandpa. I love you. I kept the letter. Couldn't look at it. April 10th, moving day. I stayed in my study with the door closed, listened to boxes being carried downstairs, furniture being loaded into a truck, voices tense and bitter. My son-in-law came to my door at noon. You know, he said, you're going to die alone in this house full of clocks, and nobody's going to find you for weeks. Maybe everything you have will go to the state, or to charity. Won't matter to you. You'll be dead. Probably. He leaned closer. You could have had family, people who cared. You chose clocks instead. I looked at him steadily. I chose dignity. You chose greed. The clocks had nothing to do with it. He left. I heard the front door slam, heard the truck pull away. Silence. Blessed, empty silence. I walked through my house. Their rooms were cleared out, mostly. Some trash left behind. Marks on the walls where furniture had been, the smell of them still lingering in the carpets. I'd need to air everything out. Maybe repaint. My phone buzzed. Gerald, they're gone. I know. How do you feel? I looked around my empty house. 47 clocks ticked in various rooms. Different rhythms, different tones. The house had never been quieter, like I won and lost at the same time. 6 months passed. I repainted the upstairs, converted one bedroom into a proper restoration workshop, took on a few commissioned repairs, nothing major, kept busy. My son joined me for dinner once a month. He flew in from Seattle, where he worked as an engineer. Good kid, quiet, never asked for money. Dad, he said over pasta in September, have you heard from her? No. She's struggling. 3-bedroom apartment in Quincy. Kyle's working at a car dealership now. I didn't respond. The kids are in public school. Lily asks about you. Lily, my granddaughter, the one who'd been coached to write that letter. What does she ask? If you still have all the clocks, if she can visit sometime. I set down my fork. Complicated. She's 8, Dad. She doesn't understand any of this. Neither did I. That's the problem. My son looked at me, something unreadable in his expression. You're really not going to forgive her. I don't know what forgiveness would look like in this situation. She tried to have me declared incompetent. She was waiting for me to die. People do stupid things when they're desperate. She wasn't desperate. She was entitled. There's a difference. October brought the first frost. My clocks needed seasonal adjustment. The temperature changes affecting the movements. I spent a weekend making tiny corrections, ensuring accuracy. The doorbell rang Saturday afternoon. Lily stood on my porch, alone. Red coat, backpack, nervous smile. Hi, Grandpa. My heart stopped, then restarted. Faster. Lily, where's your mother? She dropped me off. Said I should talk to you. She pointed down the street. She's waiting in the car. I looked. My daughter's car, parked 3 houses down. I could see her silhouette behind the wheel. Come in. Lily sat in my kitchen, hot chocolate in front of her, still wearing her coat. Mom says you're mad at her. It's complicated. She said you don't love us anymore. That's not true. Then why did we have to leave? How do you explain adult betrayal to a child? You don't. You can't. Sometimes grown-ups disagree about important things. It doesn't mean I don't love you. She considered this. Can I see the clocks? I took her through the house, showed her each piece, simplified histories, let her listen to the different chimes. Her eyes went wide at the tall case clock in my study, a different one than I'd sold. Earlier period, American-made. This one's huge. It's from 1785, before George Washington was president. Wow. She touched the case gently, respectfully. It's really old, really old. Do they all work? Every one. Who fixes them when they break? I do. That was my job for 45 years. She looked up at me. Can you teach me? Something cracked in my chest. Not broken, just shifting, rearranging. Maybe sometime. An hour later, her mother came to the door. First time in months. She looked thinner, tired, older than her 40 years. Thank you for letting her visit. She wanted to see the clocks. She talks about them constantly. She told her class she has a grandpa who fixes time. Fixes time. I almost smiled. Dad, She stopped. Start it again. I'm not going to ask for anything. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not because I want something, but because I was wrong. I stood in my doorway. Cool October air between us. What were you wrong about? Everything. The clock. The lawyers. The things I said. The way I thought about you. How did you think about me? Long pause. As someone who owed me things, instead of someone who'd given me everything, I let that sit. Kyle and I are separated, she added. He's living with his brother now. I didn't ask. I know, but I wanted you to know that too. He pushed a lot of the, I'm not blaming him. I made my own choices, but I'm making different ones now. Lily appeared behind me, ready to go. My daughter looked at her. At me. Bye, Dad. They walked to the car. Lily waved from the back seat. I waved back. November. Then December. Lily visited 3 more times, always with her mother waiting in the car. We worked on a simple repair together. A small carriage clock with a stuck mainspring. Her small hands learned to hold tools correctly. She was patient, focused. Reminded me of her mother at that age, before something went wrong. Christmas Eve, I made a decision. I called my daughter. You can come in this time. Both of you. We sat in my living room. Tea and cookies. Clocks ticking everywhere. This doesn't mean I've forgiven everything, I said. It means I'm willing to start over, slowly, with clear boundaries. My daughter nodded. I understand. No more money. No more free housing. If you need help, we talk about it first, like adults. Okay. And I need you to understand something about my collection. She tensed slightly. When I die, most of this goes to museums. I've already made arrangements. The American Clock and Watch Museum, the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, a few pieces to the Smithsonian. She blinked. Oh, I watched her face, waiting for anger, for calculation. Instead, she nodded. That makes sense. They should be preserved properly. There will be some inheritance, enough to help with the kids' education, but not what you were probably expecting. I wasn't, she stopped. I was expecting more, before, but I've stopped expecting things from you. Progress. Lily asked if I could teach her, I said. About clocks, about restoration. My daughter smiled. First real smile I'd seen from her in years. She hasn't stopped talking about it. She has good hands, patient. She gets that from you. I looked at my daughter, 40 years old, finally starting to grow up. Maybe. We ate cookies, watched the snow fall. The clocks chimed different hours at different intervals, a symphony of tiny disagreements. Dad, she said eventually, the clock you sold, the Willard, was it really worth $92,000? It sold for that. But was it worth it? To you? No. I set down my tea. It was worth more, but not in dollars. She understood. I could see it. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know. Can you ever forgive me? I'm working on it. Not a promise, not a resolution, just honesty. That's more than I deserve, probably. But you're still my daughter. That doesn't stop. She cried. Quietly. Wiped her eyes with her sleeve like she did when she was little. Lily came in from exploring the house. She'd found my workshop upstairs. Grandpa, there's so many little pieces up there. Can we fix something tomorrow? I looked at my daughter. Looked at my granddaughter. Sure. We'll start early. My life is quieter now. Smaller, but not empty. Lily visits every other weekend. Sometimes her mother comes in. Sometimes she just waits in the car. We're figuring it out. I've started writing a catalog of my collection. Complete histories, provenance, restoration notes, everything I know. When I'm gone, someone will understand what these pieces mean, how they matter. My daughter called last week, asked if I needed anything. I said no, but it was nice to be asked. Justice and love don't always coexist. The original video said that, and it's true. But maybe they can learn to share space, like different clocks in the same room. Different rhythms, different chimes, all marking time in their own way. The Willard clock is in someone else's collection now. I hope they appreciate it. I hope they see what my daughter couldn't, back when she called it ugly old junk. But I have other clocks, other treasures, and I have something else now too. A granddaughter who wants to learn how to fix time. That's worth more than $92,000. Worth more than anything. The snow falls on Brookline tonight. My clocks tick in the darkness. Tomorrow, Lily comes over and we work on an English bracket clock from 1,820. She's getting good with the jeweler's tools. Somewhere in Quincy, my daughter is starting over. Different job, different life, different choices. We're not healed, not yet, maybe not ever completely, but we're trying. That's something. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.